I'm Jake Bruton, and today on the Build Show Network, we're at our Spring Valley Aero project. I want to show you 3 trim details that we did here using stock trim that really made the millwork package at this house shine. Let's take a look. Okay, I'm not going to bury the lead. I'm going to start with what I think is my favorite aspect of the millwork package at this house, and that is our window trim. These are European triple glazed windows mounted basically in the middle of the wall, which means we have an extension jamb on the outside and we have an extension jamb on the inside. These are basically the same product, just with different materials. This is a 1x4 that we built these square boxes, we mounted them so that they were square on the windows, we foamed behind them here, and then you can see there's no casing, but there's a reveal here. There's a little bit of a lip. All we did was then have our drywall contractor come in and 90-minute mud, quick set all the way around them, fill, smooth that, paint it. You know, there's the ability to caulk right here. If we ever have a crack in the future, we could caulk from that drywall to the trim. This stuff was in place for a couple weeks in a humidified or dehumidified and conditioned space, so I don't really have any concern about this moving. This is pre-primed, finger jointed white pine from Windsor 1, and actually all the trim details that I'm going to show you today are from Windsor 1. We like their product, so we just use their line. It's a good, reliable, you know, if you're just going to paint. I know that some people make an argument for poplar or things like that. I think it's pretty hard to beat white pine, especially when projects have a budget, which I only have one client ever that doesn't have a budget on anything. So trim detail number 1 is this super slick, we're going to call it a modern casingless window. Number 2, I'm going to pull the door closed here to our powder bath. And second, we're going to talk about the casing detail on this elevation. You can see it here in 3 different doors. I'm very disappointed in myself for not catching that the head heights on those 2 units were going to be different, but there's not much changing that one, and we're not going to shrink these doors, so it's my house. We have that to complain at ourselves about. What we've done here is we've taken a standard picture frame and just added a little bit of interest. You can see that our jamb sides actually extend to the height of our head. We have making a 3.5-inch joint here that we would either have to miter or, you know, just put together in the middle. We know that that's an opportunity for cracking in the paint. So what we've done here is we've added a little bitty rabbet at the end of each head side. You can see it on both sides, with the idea that if it cracks, just like when we cut our concrete, it will crack down in that joint and you won't be able to see it. It just adds a little bit of interest. In this case, we dominoed that connection and we pre-built these frames in the shop so that we could have that head detail. You can see here better maybe, this is the door to the garage. You can see how it's darker. That shows that it just hasn't been painted yet, and actually that one was probably not as tight as it could have been. The third detail, I'm going to have the editor just pop a picture up, but it is this trim detail at the base. What we've done is added a little bitty reglet to the bottom of our drywall, held our drywall the 6.5 inches up off of the concrete and parallel to the concrete, and then we're able to run a 3/4 base profile that's available from Windsor 1, but we cut it down in height because the 7.25 just was a little tall for us, a little fancy for us. That height can have determination on how expensive something looks, but it just adds another dimension to the trim and millwork in this house, where we took a stock profile, a stock, you know, 3/4 by 7.5, whatever it is, added that little reglet detail and drywalled down to it. Now, we had a great amount of challenges with that product. because we've never done it before. And now that we've done it, we've learned something. Number one, I would choose the base trim height and go ahead and cut and install a temporary board there all the way around the entire house, snug to the floor, and then set the reglet on top of that, and then drywall, and then pull that piece and put the trim in at the appropriate time. Or I would go ahead and install the trim and just know that I'm gonna have to touch it up after the drywallers are done. Putting it in after the fact, we found little variations in our reglet, little changes with you know, the elevation, that it just didn't turn out absolutely perfect like we had hoped. And it's completely fixable. It's just could have been avoided if we'd done our order of operations slightly different. So I just kind of wanted to point out, we have a completely unique, I've never seen anybody else do this before. I'm sure someone has, so I'm still gonna call it completely unique. 1x4 jam extension without casing. We have our door casing that then has that little rabbet on the end of each side of the head as it dies into the side jams. And then we have this pretty cool reglet detail down here. So keep in mind that we've used standard items with our carpenters installing those items just like we normally would. It's just wood installed by carpenters, and all we've done is slightly change the way things operated. So make sure you check out our videos every week, but also check out Steve Basic, Brent Hull, Wade Paquin, and Matt Reisinger. We're putting up new content 6 days a week on the Build Show Network. I'm really happy to be involved. They're really putting up cool stuff that I like watching too. Till next time, from our Spring Valley Aero project, think differently about trim and millwork and see what you can come up with, because the possibilities are kind of endless. Check me out on Instagram. Thanks for watching.